Everyone and their second cousin's barber's favorite barista seems inclined to write off the Miami Heat as nothing more than paper tigers until they acquire another star. But the Ringer's Zach Lowe does not subscribe to this particular brand of groupthink, not because he thinks the team has an unexpected star hiding in plain sight, but because this roster has quietly assembled real depth. What I see there is depth, the veteran NBA insider said on a recent episode of The Zach Lowe Show. I see IQ. I see an elite coach. Depth and coaching is very powerful in the regular season. I see a formula where this team is 45-37 and gets the 6th seed. Zach Lowe has the Heat, Pistons, Bucks all in the same tier this season. What I see there is depth. I see IQ. I see an elite coach. Depth and coaching is very powerful in the regular season. I see a formula where this team is 45-37 and gets the 6th seed. This is high praise for a team that won just 37 games last year, struggled mightily on offense, and didn't make too many changes. Duncan Robinson is out. Simone Fontecchio is in. Norman Powell and rookie Kasparas Giannis are the Heat's biggest additions. Are they actually worth an additional 8 wins? Especially when there's a chance the team is downgrading by going from Robinson to Fontecchio. Still, when you really start to dig into Miami's prospective rotation, you realize that Lowe, like usual, is right on the money. The Heat have real depth to their rotation. Last year's Heat rotation was starving for impactful depth. The Jimmy Butler saga torpedoed the season, and stark regressions from Jamie Jaquez Jr. and Terry Rozier didn't help matters. Next year's rotation is shaping up to be a lot better, more experienced, and dynamic. Just look at all of Miami's options. Guards, Tyler Herro, Davion Mitchell, Norman Powell, Kasparas Giannis, Terry Rozier. Wings, Andrew Wiggins, Haywood Highsmith, Jamie Jaquez Jr., Simone Fontecchio, Pelle Larsson, Kashad Johnson. Bigs, Bam Adebayo, Kel'el Ware, Nikola Jovic. Quibble over the positional designations as you see fit. The primary takeaway doesn't change. This Heat team is deep. Even if we bake in another nothing burger of a season from Rozier and assume Larsson, Johnson, and Giannis won't be steady options, this remains a rotation that can span 10 actual NBA players deep. Miami is still at the mercy of a few swing factors. Of course, the Heat still have plenty of concerns with which they must grapple. Powell's shooting and rim pressure adds a much-needed element to the rotation, but he doesn't solve their biggest problem, the complete absence of a primary creator. Though Herro comes close to checking this box, he's cut from the same cloth as Devin Booker. His playmaking is best served when it's a secondary feature, not when it's deployed as a floor general facsimile. Counting on Rozier to bounce back is a risky proposition. Miami must view his contributions as a bonus. Giannis profiles as a primary playmaker, but even at the height of his Summer League powers, his performance was a mixed bag. The Heat also need to see development from Ware, Jaquez, and Jovic. If they remain stagnant or regress, the rotation loses some punch. Without Robinson's constant motion in the fold, they must hold out hope for Fontecchio to improve upon last year's struggles as well. So no, the Heat are not a lock to party crash the top of the Eastern Conference. But they have the depth to effectively navigate a long regular season. And in the event a couple of developmental projects and what-ifs break their way, they'll be a team that's built to shock. The Miami Heat have a history of turning undrafted free agents into valuable players for the franchise. Udonis Haslem, Duncan Robinson, and Max Strus are among the long list of Heat players who didn't hear their name called on draft night, but went on to have notable NBA careers. This summer, Vladislav Goldin looked great for Miami, and he should have a shot at making the main roster in 2025-26. But another undrafted player who showed up on Miami's Summer League roster has been converted to a two-way contract and could be a name to keep an eye on moving forward. Myron Gardner signs two-way contract with Miami. Myron Gardner has signed a two-way contract with the Heat. Gardner started his college career at Georgetown and wrapped up at Little Rock before going undrafted and spending the past 2 seasons with the Osceola Magic. Gardner saw his game improve during the 2024-25 campaign and was a 38% shooter from 3 for Osceola. He joined the Heat's Summer League roster and showed flashes of someone who could be a useful specialist down the road. During the 4 games he appeared in this summer, he averaged 13.3 points, but most notably, he was 61.5% from 3. He obviously won't keep up the 61.5% clip, but it does paint a picture of how he could carve out a role with the main roster down the road. Tyler Herro averaged 35 minutes a game last year, so there are still 13 minutes the Heat needs to fill if the Heat wants a sharpshooting specialist. Having someone capable of shooting 40% from 3 would help ease the pressure of trying to stretch Herro out. Gardner is on a 2-way contract and will almost surely start the season in Sioux Falls, but if he can continue to improve his shooting to a point that Miami can't ignore, then the Heat may have just uncovered their next undrafted gem to add to the roster for 2025-26. The Sacramento Kings and DeMar DeRozan have been working towards a trade for the better part of the offseason. While there's been no movement on this front as of yet, recent rumors suggest that there could be something more significant at play. The Kings have displayed an active interest in acquiring restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga. Having extended an initial trade offer for the forward, there may be a handshake deal between DeRozan and the Kings at play. Sackdown Sports 1140 host Alan Stiles recently elaborated on this and said, "I believe that there is a handshake agreement between DeMar DeRozan and the Sacramento Kings. That is my belief. If Jonathan Kuminga is acquired by the Sacramento Kings, the Kings will get their butts in gear as far as getting DeRozan to another team." Stiles justified his reasoning by pointing to links between DeRozan and the Miami Heat, presenting them as a potential trade partner for Sacramento. The idea of the Kings getting the Kuminga deal done appears to be gaining steam, especially with the forward being in contact with Sacramento's front office. Should such a deal go through, the possibility of DeRozan being moved may increase. In light of this, we explore a trade package that would allow the Kings to send the 6-time All-Star to Miami. Proposed trade details. Miami Heat receive DeMar DeRozan. Sacramento Kings receive Terry Rozier, 2027 second-round pick, OKC/NYK/SAS swap. 2031 second-round pick was swap. When considering DeRozan's contract, he isn't earning much in comparison to other players of his stature, allowing the Heat to acquire a very capable scorer at a discounted price. Miami also offloads Terry Rozier's contract, shedding some salary in the process. Largely, this trade could be beneficial for both teams involved. The Heat are on the verge of being a playoff-bound team in the Eastern Conference next season. Although projected to rank 6th in the conference by Zach Lowe, the Heat have a lot of potential to compete at a high level. With the addition of Norman Powell and the development of their young core, Miami could benefit from adding a reliable veteran to the mix. For the 2024-25 season, DeRozan averaged 22.2 points, 3.9 rebounds, and 4.4 assists per game, while shooting 47.7% from the field and 32.8% from beyond the arc. Although his perimeter shooting figures aren't awe-inspiring, his efficiency as a mid-range scorer cannot be overlooked. Even at 35 years old, DeRozan is a solid second or third scoring option. On a team like the Heat, featuring offensive threats like Tyler Herro and Norman Powell in the backcourt, along with Bam Adebayo and Kel'el Ware in the frontcourt, he could slot in quite seamlessly. When considering the additional boost he provides to the overall roster strength, this trade could be worth considering for the Heat. Meanwhile, the Kings acquire Rozier and 2 draft picks, potentially swaps. Sacramento may not have as much use for a player like Rozier, who is a score-first type of guard. Last season, Rozier averaged 10.6 points, 3.7 rebounds, and 2.6 assists per game, on shooting splits of 39.1% from the field and 29.5% from three-point range. While he is a serviceable offensive player, he may not fit in their rotation. In this context, acquiring him would primarily serve to clear cap space next season due to his expiring contract. With $26.6 million coming off the books, Sacramento would have a lot more room to pursue additional role players to support its newly formed core, featuring Kuminga. Kings' plans hinge on Warriors' decision. The most vital aspect of this trade proposal is hinged on Sacramento successfully acquiring Kuminga in a sign-and-trade deal with the Golden State Warriors. This appears to be a challenge at this stage. Sacramento has presented an initial offer centered around Devin Carter and draft compensation. However, the Warriors have shown increasing interest in Kings point guard Keon Ellis, whom the franchise has made unavailable in trade negotiations. This could put a wrench in Sacramento's plans, as the Suns have also prepared a relevant trade offer for Kuminga. With so much hanging in the balance, DeRozan currently finds himself in an unfavorable position.